Welcome to my channel. My name is Olive. This class is a yoga and mobility cool-down session. It encompasses both gentle movement and deep stretches to hopefully aid and assist in recovery. For equipment, I would recommend grabbing yourself a pillow. We're going to be doing a couple of kneeling poses, so it just might make it a bit more comfortable. And a yoga block as well. We might need it in some poses just to bring the ground a bit closer to us. Sweet. So let's get started. I will see you kneeling down. If you would like to grab a pillow and place underneath your left knee to make it a bit more comfortable, please feel free. Otherwise, we're going to come forwards into a lunge position with the right leg forwards. Just to warm up into the body, warm up into the position, we're just going to come in and out of some pulsing movement. So from here, you can take hands on your hips for a second and just bend in and out of the front knee. Just a little bit to get a tiny bit of movement going on to see where the muscles are at before we come into a deeper stretch. A quick note on the back foot, it can be tucked, it can be flat, it's just personal choice. Okay, now from here just settle back a little bit. So we're coming out of the stretch. Take your hands across your chest and you're just going to bend your body side to side. So we're thinking of this movement sort of originating in the top portion of our spine. So we're finding these side bends here. Because in a moment we're going to come into a deeper hold, which incorporates not only a really nice stretch for the hips and the quads, but also a little bit for the spine. Okay. So back to the middle, we're now going to come into that deeper stretch. So a couple different options here. If you would like, you can bend a tiny bit more into the front leg. If you want to feel perhaps some more around the lower area of the body. You might also find by tilting the angle of your pelvis, so tucking it and untucking it, you might find a different sensation that you really like. So just kind of setting yourself up with that. And then when you're ready, you're going to take your right hand onto your leg. Reach your left hand up. I like to work with my breath here. I take an inhale. And then on my exhale, I'm going to bend towards the right hand side. So again, even in this position here, if you wanted to change up the sensation, you can rotate with the left shoulder forwards. Each of those variations is going to offer you something different. So it's all about just experimenting with it and seeing. But as we hold here for another couple of breaths, think about breathing into your left rib cage. And that line all the way from the left middle finger down to the left knee. I'm going to take one more breath. Slowly release the left hand down by your side, bring the shoulders back over the hips, and we're now going to come to our half splits. So you're going to gently start to push the hips back, but not all the way, and then roll it back forwards to the lunge. So again, we're pulsing. You can take hands to the floor if you want, or even hands on top of a block for now. But just a little bit of movement into the hamstrings now. Okay. Now when you feel comfortable, you're going to take the hips right back, bring the hands down towards the floor or again on top of a yoga block or an elevated surface. Before we come into the hold, we're just going to point and flex the right toes or the right foot. Reason we're doing this is again, it's going to offer some slightly different sensations for the hamstring and for the calf. Sometimes it's known as hamstring flossing as well. Okay. Then we're going to settle into the position, holding it still. Option is to either stay elevated with the hips above, or if you were comfortable and wanted to take it down, so it's perhaps a little bit less intense, you can bring it down to this sort of seated position. Or maybe another option is to gently sort of bow the head and roll forwards. Again, just exploring what feels right for your body today after your training session and where it's at. We're going to go for 3 more deep breaths here. This time think about breathing into your back body. So from the back of the head all the way down to your tailbone. We'll go one more breath. And slowly bring yourself all the way up and out of it. You're going to re-bend the front leg. Now going to come into a little bit of an adductor stretch. So your back foot, you're now going to swivel it behind you. So you turn your body to face the left-hand side. So it's kind of like a baby warrior 3. So again, just to warm up into the adductor muscles, so muscles on the inner thigh, we're just going to progressively bend in and out of that front leg. And just see how it's feeling. If you would like to bring a little bit of a side bend into the body, you can take the right elbow to the right knee with the left arm reaching up and over. Just sort of shuffling gently in and out of it. Okay. And now for the deep stretch, come all the way back up. You're going to find like a diagonal in front of your hips. So think about your left hip shooting out here, your right hip shooting out here, and we're going to meet in the middle. So you're going to bring your hands down to the ground, or again on top of your yoga block. And you're going to think about dropping the chin down to your chest, so rounding through the spine. You might even come down onto your forearms, onto your elbows. And from here, what I want you to think about is maybe gently letting your right knee fall away from you. So we don't necessarily have to keep that right foot flat to the floor. Another alternative is to drop your butt backwards, let it rest down onto the back heel. Again, always checking in, seeing where you're at, what feels comfortable for your body. And again, whilst you're in this position for the next 3 breaths, can you focus on, once again, breathing into your back body. From the back of the head all the way down to the tailbone. Okay. And slowly, when you're ready, walking the hands in, begin to lift the chest all the way up. We're going to reset that left knee. And then let's just take a moment in downward dog. So take the right leg behind you, extend, lift up, and just give the legs a little bit more attention. A little shuffle side to side, a little pedal into the ankles. Okay. So we're going to do that sequence on the other side. Let's start by bringing the right knee down to the pillow and stepping that left foot forwards. So bringing yourself all the way back upright. So we're coming back into our lunge. Again, just a little movement in and out of that front knee for the hips, the quads, hamstrings. And you might notice a subtle difference between sides as we move throughout this sequence. So again, trying to respond to that side with that information rather than what we've just done on the previous side. Okay. Come back with the shoulders over the hips, hands across your chest, and a little bend side to side. I really enjoy this one because I get some really satisfying clicks like in my rib cage, well, in like the intercostal muscles. It just feels great. Okay. So again, remember for this next hold, we've got a couple of different options. So bring yourself back to the middle. Option 1 is where we bend perhaps a little bit more into the front leg to intensify some sensation down the back quad. Or again, I can manipulate my pelvis to again intensify or soften the sensation. When I'm happy with that, left hand to the knee. You're going to extend your right arm up, so take a breath in. And you're going to exhale, bend to the left-hand side. Once you're there, you might find that you want to bend into the front leg more or less. Again, remember if you wanted to, right shoulder rotates forward, so we create a little bit more of a twist. For the next 3 breaths, let's focus on breathing into the right rib cage. Okay, slowly unravel with the right arm, bring it back to the hip, bringing yourself up, and now we're going to move into that half splits position. So think about tipping your butt back, straightening the front leg a little bit, and just rocking in and out of that. Again, with or without hands down to the ground or on top of your block. I almost choked on something, so whilst we do that, let me have a sip of water. Okay, so now let's take it into that flossing movement. So hands on top of your block or the ground, press your hips backwards so the front leg is now a little bit straighter. You're going to point and flex into that front toe. Well, whole foot, not just one toe. Again, feeling a little bit of movement down the hamstring, maybe even into the calf. Okay. And softening, relaxing here, take it into that full splits movement. So once again, whether we're elevated with the hips above the heel, or if I drop myself back. Once again, as we're holding this position, maybe you relax the chin to the chest, and let's focus on the next 3 breaths into the back body. Perhaps this time even paying attention to your back rib cage, how it's moving. And we're going to go for one more breath. All right. Slowly, when you're ready, roll yourself all the way back up into that upright kneeling position. So I'm going to change direction so I can still face the camera. From here, that right foot is going to swivel behind our hips. We turn our hips to face the right-hand side of our mat. We're going to start by bending in and out of that front leg. So again, working through the muscles of the inner thigh and for the hip in a slightly different direction. Feel free to bring left elbow down, right arm reaching up, creating a little bit more of a side bend. Okay. So from here, let's come into our stretch. Bring yourself all the way back up. So remember, we're going to that 45-degree angle, sort of smack bang in the middle. You're going to reach your arms out in front of you, whether they're on the block or elbows are down. And as you bring your chin down to your chest, maybe that left knee falls away from you, or you sink your body into the back heel. Just slowly arriving into the position. And then for the next 3 breaths, once again, let's focus on the movement into our back rib cage. And let's go for one more breath here. And then slowly roll it all the way back up. You're going to reset your back leg, so the right foot, hands to the ground, and we're going to take it into a tabletop position. So in your tabletop from here, we're now going to come down into a child's pose. So your toes can be together, knees can be apart, or if you prefer closer in, you can go for that. So with this child's pose, we're actually not going to extend all the way down. We're going to sort of pause with the hands sort of halfway between our knees and our full extension. We're now going to come into some movements for the upper body. So I'm going to look at a little bit of rotation here for the thoracic spine and a bit of a stretch for the muscles behind our shoulders. So we're going to start with that right hand behind our head. You're going to rotate your body towards the right hand side. Really try open up through the top portion of your spine. Now as you come back to face the ground, your right hand goes behind your left and you come down to the shoulder. So just going to move between these two and down. Just moving at your own pace. This is our pulsing. Maybe your right arm reaches up to the ceiling, gaining a little bit more length into the hand. Next time you come down to thread the needle where your right shoulder's to the floor, you're going to stay there. Option with your left hand to keep it where it is, or you can wrap your left hand around your back. We're just going to hold this pose for a few breaths. What you can do to perhaps increase any sensation to behind the shoulder is if you think about lightly pressing your right arm through the ground and breathing into your left rib cage, into your belly, into your chest. Let's go one more breath here. Come out of it by gently releasing your left hand, pressing yourself back up through that sort of halfway child's pose. And then we go to the other side. Left hand behind the head, rotate to the left hand side. Thread the needle, coming down to your left shoulder. And again, push out and rotate. And then travel all the way back down. Extending your left arm at the top if you would like. And then all the way back down. And then this time as you bring your left hand to the ground, we're going to keep it there. And again, if you fancy, you can wrap your right arm around your back. And for the next few breaths, if you wanted to lightly push your left arm through the ground and focus on the breath to the right rib cage, the belly, the chest. Beautiful. Okay, I'm going for one more breath here. And slowly unravel, bring yourself back upright and then roll forwards for a second into tabletop and just have a little wriggle for a moment. And we're going to set ourselves up for a hold in child's pose. So if you would like, you can place your pillow between your heels and your glutes as you sit back. Another option is to place it underneath your chest so it's a little bit more comfortable. You don't have to use a pillow, but the option is there. And we're going to come into our full child's pose from here. So just extending the arms away from you. You can always take your hands into a wider position than your shoulders if you would like. And from here, think about breathing down into your lats, so into the sides of the body, the side rib cage, and into the back body. We're going to take 3 more breaths here. Okay, when you're ready, slowly let's slide the hands in, roll ourselves up through to tabletop, and just have a tiny bit of movement here into the spine. Okay, so now we're going to take it down onto our elbows, And we're going to find some flexion and extension into our spine. So you're going to press the ground away, arch the back. And then drop the belly down to the ground, squeezing shoulder blades, press through elbows, gazing gently forwards. So a slightly different take on cat-cow. Just taking your time to pay attention to the portions of the spine that are moving and segmenting. And you could even bring in some barrel rolls for the body. So creating these big circles, moving into the sides. And maybe even gently rocking forwards and back. Okay. From here we're going to take it into my favorite version of puppy pose. So come up into your hands for a second. So from here you're going to walk both your hands round towards the left hand side. So come more to 45 degrees. Pop your left elbow to the ground. Stretch your right arm out as far away as you can. So we're really trying to lengthen from the right middle finger down to the right hip. From here, you're going to drop the forehead down to the floor. I like to sort of roll my left forearm in so I can rest it on there. And we're going to find that sort of stretch sensation down into the right hand side of the body. Right rib cage, the lats, the shoulder. And for the next 3 breaths, focusing on feeling the breath here. Okay, when you're ready, gradually lift your head away, slide the hands in, walk it through tabletop, little roll. And let's take it to the other side. So walk the hands round to the right. We'll take that right elbow down to the ground, stretching that left hand away from you. Again, bringing your forehead, chin to the chest, and breathing down into the left side of the body. Left rib cage, left lat. And holding here for the next 3 breaths. And then when you're ready, slowly roll, walk all the way in. Coming back into tabletop, little roll through the shoulders. And then we're going to swivel the legs round to the front and come into our last few poses. So going to look at a seated figure 4. You're going to prop your hands behind you, and to get a little bit of a stretch into the chest, into the pec muscles, you're going to think about turning the fingers out to either side of the room and squeezing those shoulder blades together. So you can see how my spine now goes into more extension, and I can get that stretch across my chest. It's quite nice for a moment to maybe tilt the head back and just roll it behind you. And feel the breath moving to the chest and the belly. Okay. For our figure 4, maybe creep the right foot a little bit further away. You're going to cross the left ankle above that knee and just rocking side to side. So this one you might notice quite a lot into your glute muscles off the left leg. And you might find that as you tip it side to side, the intensity and where you feel it in that glute really starts to switch. I did some heavy squats yesterday, so this feels equally good and really painful. Okay, again, keep squeezing the shoulders together, get that stretch across the chest. Let's switch it through. Right foot crosses over, and again we're going to rock side to side. So in a moment we're going to keep this leg position but come down into a spinal twist. Okay. So bring yourself through the middle. Take hold of your legs just below your kneecaps. Lean away, chin in. And then pull forwards and squeeze. And just with this, we're going to slowly get closer and closer to the ground. And then hug those knees in, rock your body left to right. So coming back to our figure four, cross that left ankle above the right knee, and we're going to take all the legs over to the right hand side. Ooh, stretching your left arm away from you. If this position in the legs feels too intense, or if you just prefer, you can take both knees one on top of the other. Even from there, with both knees on top of the other, if you were to straighten your top leg, it might, again, give you a bit of sensation into the glutes. Just see which version you prefer most, and we'll hold here for about 3 more breaths. This time observing your breath to the chest, the rib cage, the belly, even the back. When you're ready, slowly roll back to the middle. Let's swap the legs over. So right foot crosses above left knee. Take it down to the other side so your right arm reaches away. Again, the option is to match both knees on top of the other, or even straighten out that right leg and let a foot rest. Seeing where you're at, as always. And once again, for the final 3 breaths of this session, focusing on it in the chest, the belly, the ribs, and the back. And then when you're ready, take it all the way back through the middle. If you would like, you can just stay lying on your back for a few minutes. Feel free to pause the video. But if you are content and you're ready to go about the rest of your day, you can take a moment, bring yourself up to seated. And there we go. Thank you for joining me. I hope you had a really nice session and it helped your nervous system unwind after your training. You feel nice and stretched out. If you have any comments, please let me know below, or any suggestions for future videos. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Bye.